replacement on the red truck here. Everything went back together. Driving the vehicle around now, everything snapped back in there pretty good. But now to one of the other downfalls on this truck, where they put the distributor back in behind the breather tube, and it's tucked back into the firewall so tight. This range of trucks has a lot of issues with moisture in the distributor cap. There's supposed to be 2 vent holes underneath the distributor body that's supposed to allow air up into it. I've changed distributor caps at least a half a dozen times, and about every 3 months or so I have to pull the cap, clean the corrosion out of it, and then put it all back. The thing gets to where it runs really bad, misses and misfires and goes on, and that's usually what it is. The first time I tried to figure it out was several years ago. I replaced the ignition module, I replaced the ignition coil, plugs, plug wires, and then thinking, well, you know, the only thing left is the distributor cap. When I pulled it off, it was just a total mass of green stuff inside of it. So I'm fixing to do this job again and basically pull it apart, take a little fine sandpaper and some ignition files, clean the corrosion off of it and put it back. I don't know if an aftermarket distributor would solve the issue or not, because where it's tucked back in behind the engine and there's not a lot of airflow back there, when the engine cools off, I guess condensation happens inside that cap. This is just something else to have to keep up with on this particular truck. So I'm going to pull this thing apart, and as I get it more apart, I'll show you what's going on and what the cap looks like on the inside. So I'll bring you back in just a minute. Okay, I've got the breather tube and stuff off, and I'm not sure if you can see it back in here or not. I tried to hold the camera a little more steady than the last video. But here's the distributor tucked way down in behind the intake and stuff back here in the very back, right up against the firewall. You have to remove the breather tube. You've got to move some of these wires and stuff out of the way. And then there are 2 screws right down on either side, one in the front, one in the back, to take the cap off. I wish it was more like a Ford used to be with the captive screws or the clips, because if you're not careful you'll drop those screws and they disappear into the unknown. So I'm going to go ahead and pull those screws out, get the cap off, and kind of show you what it looks like on the inside. Of course, you hear the neighbors' cows down here. It's late in the afternoon, and they think it's dinner time, so I'll get back with you here in just a second. Okay, here's the cap off, and I'm not sure how well you can see it in the camera. I've got the sun shining on it, so I can't really see too well through the viewfinder, but you can see all the corrosion around each of these terminals. It finally gets so bad the truck won't even start, but I can always tell now, after having gone through this multiple times, when it's getting to the point where it's got to be cleaned again. I mean, it runs really rough. It's hard to start. A lot of times you have to mash on the gas pedal to get it going. But like I said, one of these little multiple tool kits, I can't remember what the Torx number is on those screws, but this is about the handiest thing there is for getting down in there to get those screws out, since it's so tight to the firewall. Plus you can get it in beside of the distributor cap here where the screws are, because I mean it's a pretty snug fit trying to get down in between it and the firewall. So that's about the best thing I've come up with. I think I got this at Radio Shack or something. It's got a lot of the same bits and stuff for working on cell phones and computers and things of that nature. So anyway, I'm going to grab some needle files and some sandpaper, scrub this off. Eventually, after, I don't know, maybe 2 years or so, it gets to the point where the electrodes have worn down to the point where they don't start real well even after you clean it, I guess, because every time I'm cleaning it, I'm taking some of that brass material away. If you are having this issue, though, I recommend getting the upgraded distributor cap with the brass terminals. The standard ones, they say, for some reason, it has aluminum terminals in it, and they don't last hardly any time at all because they're so soft. You might get one cleaning out of them before they're toast, and that's what I did the first time I replaced the cap. And then the second time I went back, I got the one with the brass terminals on it, like $60 for the rotor button and the distributor cap. But it's well worth it, because at least you can clean it that way instead of having to go back every time. So I'm going to grab some sandpaper and clean this stuff up. Then once I get the truck fixed, it's time to haul some more stuff to the landfill and the scrap yard. It's that time of year, getting ready for winter. Of course, I got all the leaves and stuff to deal with. I like living there in the woods, but Now when it comes time to deal with all of this stuff, they're all about gone off of the trees now, so I can start trying to get this mess cleaned up. Of course, it's turned into a junkyard again, excuse me, as it does every year. I haul stuff in for scrap, part it all out, and then down toward this time of year I'll haul it all to the scrap yard. It makes a little bit of money to cover the gas and for the effort and stuff, but it's mostly just to make sure the stuff doesn't end up in the landfill. I hate waste of any kind. If stuff can be recycled, I feel we ought to be doing that instead of just throwing it in the hole. So I'm going here in the garage and grab some sandpaper, some files. Of course, the shop's a total wreck between all of our different hobbies. My uncle and I, we've started casting bullets now, since we do a lot of shooting and reloading, and we figured out it was a lot easier to get the lead, which we've been finding it off of eBay, and casting our own bullets makes reloading a little bit less expensive, plus it's fun, and it's just another skill in the trade there that kind of help us keep up with stuff. But as a result of being, I guess you call it OCD, I like to learn different things, and then once I've learned it, I kind of move on to something else. The shop has just turned into a total wreck. I've got wood here that I'm milling down for a project at work. Of course, been working on the lathe for pieces for the 2x72 belt sander that I'm trying to get put together. I've not got any of the material and stuff gathered up for that yet, but I'll be trying to do some videos on that as well. But as you can see, the shop is a wreck, the property's a wreck. I've been off on vacation this week trying to get some stuff done, and so far I've not had a whole lot of luck. But anyway, we are getting closer to having this stuff put together. And I'll bring you back whenever I got something else to show you on that distributor job. So I will see you here in just a few. Take care. This is kind of a good view of what it looks like before you clean it. And this actually isn't as bad as it normally is. I tried to catch it a little bit sooner. I just noticed it was running kind of rough. But it'll get so carboned up that you can't even see any of the brass electrode left. It's all either the black like you see there in the center of that post, or the green that's around it. It actually etches into the post, and when you're taking the needle file and filing it down, you have to go pretty much 3/4 of the way around it. It doesn't really help to do any of the back side of it. You just want to do where the rotor button goes around and catches it. But what I use is one of these needle files that came in this set. Happened to catch this on clearance sale one day at Lowe's. I guess because it doesn't come with a handle. It uses like a standard 1/4-inch drive screwdriver handle. But there's several different sizes in here, and these fit in there really well. The last set of ignition files I had, I think they were hazard fraught specials, and I ended up breaking 2 or 3 of them. These seem to be pretty decent files. I think the set was like $10. You got the flat ones, you've got the triangular shape, the round, and some of these actually have diamond. Of course, I'm not sure how quality the diamonds are, but this one right here, just a standard flat profile, fits down in there really well. And I try to keep it flat as I'm filing the points here. I can't do it one-handed, of course, because I can't hold it. But you try to get all that corrosion stuff off, and occasionally have to turn the edge up to try and dig some of that darker burnt area. I'm trying to find which one is left. Out of the center of that, because that actually after times tends to eat away at the electrode, and that's when it gets to the point where cleaning it doesn't help a lot and you have to change the cap. So I'm going to finish cleaning the other one, put this thing back together, and see if it starts. So I'll bring you back here in just a minute. Okay, got everything put back together, plug wires back on, breather tube back on. Now let's see if everything will start up, if it runs like something, or if I've got another issue here. Alright. New clutch pedal, yay! Much better. It gets to where it won't hardly start. Normally you don't have to touch the gas pedal or anything on these, you just turn the key on. I gotta change my oil too. But that made a heck of a difference. It still befuddles me why they designed it like that. Of course, they probably didn't know there was going to be an issue after the trucks were already out there, so But that definitely helps a lot, cleaning those things up. I checked the throttle body and stuff while I was in there too to make sure it was clean, but that solved the issue for another 3 months or so. With that, I guess you guys take care. Thanks for watching. Please comment on the video if you see anything that would help this situation, and I will see you guys on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.